Well, well, well. They tried to look away. They tried to pretend you were just another passing face in the endless rotation of names and bodies, but you made that impossible. Because the day you stood against evil, the day you refused to bow, the day you burned with fire instead of fear, something irreversible happened. A ripple ran through the town, then through the city, then through the very core of every coward who had grown comfortable hiding behind their curtains. You became more than a witness, more than a participant. You became the figure they whisper about, the spark that could not be smothered, the one who turned confrontation into coronation. And now, the world can't ignore you anymore. They can't erase you, can't minimize you, can't pretend you didn't rise in that moment when most would have collapsed. Because that moment branded itself into the collective memory. When others saw a threat, you saw a line that needed to be held. When others froze, you advanced. When others begged for someone else to take responsibility, you stepped into the fire without hesitation. Evil thought it had the upper hand, thought it could play its game unchecked. But it didn't account for you. And what you did wasn't just defense. It wasn't just bravery, it was revelation, because you showed them what happens when a human refuses to bow. You showed them that the predator is not the final word. The oppressor is not invincible. The bully is not the inevitable ruler of the room. You tore the mask off their performance and replaced it with your own reality, defiance. And that one act is louder than speeches, louder than campaigns, louder than propaganda. That's why the whispers won't die down. That's why the town keeps replaying it like a loop, passing it from mouth to mouth, retelling it as though each person wants to own a piece of the legend. Because it's not just what you did, it's how you did it. Without theatrics, without seeking applause, without orchestrating attention, you acted as if it was the only option, as if courage was the most natural response. And that's the paradox that burns them now. The fact that what felt normal to you looked superhuman to them. That gap between perception and reality is where your power now lives. You didn't try to make yourself unforgettable. They made you unforgettable. You didn't script the story. They wrote it in awe and fear, and now they can't stop rehearsing it. But let's strip this down further. Let's peel back the drama and examine the psychology that's choking them right now. When a community sees someone rise against evil, it rewrites their expectations of human behavior. It erases excuses. Suddenly, every person who said, "I couldn't," now hears the echo of you proving that they could. Every person who whispered, "It's too dangerous," now sees the image of you refusing to retreat. You aren't just a figure. They've turned you into a measuring stick. Their excuses don't fit anymore. Their self-preservation stories ring hollow. Their cowardice feels exposed, and they hate you for that as much as they admire you. That's the real weight of what you've become, a mirror that shows them their own smallness. And once a mirror like that exists, people either rise to meet it or they crumble under it. This is why the world can't ignore you anymore. Because you didn't just defend people against evil. You exposed the line between fear and fire. You reminded them that courage is contagious, that strength spreads, that one act of defiance forces everyone else to question their position. Leaders are not born in titles. They are born in those seconds when everyone else looks away and one person refuses. That's you. That's why your name tastes different in their mouths now. It's no longer a name. It's a signal, a code, a warning. When they speak it, they're not just identifying you. They're acknowledging a force that shifts the atmosphere of any room. And here's the part that terrifies them most. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't wait for consensus. You didn't calculate the odds and then step forward like a gambler. You decided in an instant, without needing approval, without hesitation. That spontaneity reveals something they can't control. Because power structures thrive on prediction. They need to know what you'll do before you do it. They need to box you, script you, tame you. But you shattered that script. You operated from a place they can't decode. And that's why your legend doesn't just live in admiration. It breeds dread. They can't anticipate you now, and unpredictability is the enemy of control. Notice how they talk now. Notice the tremor beneath the casual conversations. They say things like, "It was wild," or "It was intense." But what they're really saying is, "I still can't believe it happened." Their words stumble because their minds still can't process that someone among them has shifted from civilian to myth maker in one night. They're wrestling with the dissonance. How could someone they knew yesterday as ordinary reveal a capacity that makes the entire town feel protected, threatened, and humbled simultaneously? And that question doesn't resolve. It lingers, it festers, it grows. The longer they wrestle with it, the more your aura grows beyond proportion, feeding on their confusion, magnifying your presence until it no longer fits inside the frame of the story. Understand this: evil wasn't just defeated in that moment, it was humiliated. Because nothing humiliates corruption like exposure. And you didn't just stop the act, you revealed it as weak, desperate, pitiful. You revealed that it only worked when people agreed to stay small, agreed to look away. And once you ripped away that permission, evil shrank under the weight of your defiance. That image, that collapse, now lives in their memory. It's cinematic, it's viral, it's impossible to shake. And the more they replay it, the more your legend feeds itself, independent of you. You don't even need to speak anymore. The story has escaped your control and now runs like wildfire, unstoppable, untamed, burning through every channel, every rumor, every conversation. But here's the real twist. This isn't the peak. This isn't the climax. This is the introduction. Because what they don't realize yet is that you didn't just have one act of defiance in you. That wasn't luck, wasn't an accident, wasn't a rare moment where circumstances aligned. That was you operating naturally, which means it can happen again, which means they're not safe from it, which means every oppressive hand, every corrupt face, every predatory eye now calculates differently when you're present. They know you won't look away. They know you'll step forward. They know you've already burned once and the fire only grows hotter with repetition. And so your presence now does more damage than your actions ever could. You don't even have to fight anymore. Your reputation fights for you. It spreads ahead of you like a warning flare. It bends conversations. It shifts rooms. It turns cowardly men into stammering shells before you even open your mouth. Because they aren't fighting you. They're fighting the memory of you. They're fighting the legend, the rumor, the retelling. And that legend is heavier than any physical force they can bring. So ask yourself this: what happens when you choose to wield this deliberately? If a single act of defense created a legend, what will happen when you embrace the role fully? If they're this rattled by one moment, what will they do when you decide to make every day a declaration? When you decide that your life itself is the arena, and every step is another confrontation with cowardice? They won't just whisper then, they'll kneel. They won't just fear you then, They'll submit, because legends aren't debated. Legends rule by presence alone. And this, right here, is the threshold you now stand on. They're whispering because they know the truth. The fire you unleashed once can burn again. The force you revealed is not temporary, it's permanent. And permanence is the one thing evil cannot withstand. Because evil thrives on cycles: attack, retreat, rebuild, repeat. But when a permanent force arises, one that doesn't flinch, one that doesn't fade, one that doesn't bow, that cycle breaks. And when the cycle breaks, the predators lose oxygen. They suffocate in the shadow of your fire. That's why the world can't ignore you anymore. Not because of a headline, not because of a trend, but because you have proven that permanence exists in human form. And if permanence exists in you, then every coward, every oppressor, every schemer is already on borrowed time. So let them whisper. Let them retell the story until their throats are raw. Let them try to diminish it, then repeat it, then exaggerate it, then fear it. Because with every retelling, they're doing your work for you. They're spreading your name, amplifying your force, enlarging your presence. And here's the cruel irony. The more they talk, the less they can escape. Their mouths become your amplifiers. Their fear becomes your fuel. Their gossip becomes your throne. And the more they struggle to ignore you, the more they prove the truth. They can't. And now, the whisper has matured into something else. It's no longer casual gossip passed between bored lips. It's obsession, a fixation. You're the story they can't put down, the fire they can't smother. They wake thinking of you. They fall asleep revisiting the image of what you did. And in between, every conversation bends back toward you. The evil you confronted has faded into the background, reduced to a warning footnote, while your name blazes at the center. That's what happens when courage overshadows corruption. The villain dissolves, and the defender becomes immortalized. That's why the town talks the way it does now. Not about what was attempted against them, but about how you stood against it. Your defiance eclipsed their fear. Think about the psychology of that shift. When people replay the confrontation, they're not rehearsing the fear. They're rehearsing the relief. They're savoring the moment the predator lost its grip. The moment a person stood taller than intimidation itself. And that person was you. Your presence rewrote their memory. They no longer think of themselves as victims who cowered. They think of themselves as witnesses to your fire. That's the secret they don't admit, that you gave them back their pride. You gifted them a story in which they are no longer defined by what was done to them, but by what you did for them. That's why they can't let it go. To release your name would be to release the only proof that they weren't helpless. This is why your force terrifies power, because power relies on people forgetting. Power survives by making each act of defiance fade quickly, swallowed by distraction, erased by new headlines. But your act didn't fade. It multiplied. Instead of vanishing, it metastasized, sinking into every conversation, every memory, every imagination. And once courage metastasizes, it becomes ungovernable. No propaganda can overwrite it. No authority can suppress it. They can't censor the story, because it's already been tattooed into the people's psyche. You gave them an image they can't unsee, and that's the most dangerous weapon of all. Look around. Watch how the atmosphere changes when you walk by. Conversations stutter, eyes sharpen, bodies rearrange. The guilty stiffen. The cowards bow their heads. The envious grind their teeth. The grateful soften their gaze. But none remain neutral. You've eliminated neutrality from every room you enter. That is the hallmark of presence, when existence itself forces people to declare where they stand. You are no longer background, you are the axis, and whether they admit it or not, they orbit around you now. Notice how even your silence has become a statement. You don't need to shout to dominate. You don't need to demand to command. Your name has become a weight that settles over their shoulders, heavier than any weapon, sharper than any threat. Because it's not what you say, it's what you represent. You represent the collapse of their excuses. You represent the possibility that one person can change the script. And once that possibility is revealed, it spreads like wildfire, igniting imaginations that had long been suffocated. This is why they fear you, because you've proven something they never wanted proven. That evil can be confronted by a single human, and that confrontation can succeed. That truth is a virus, and you are patient zero. It spreads not by intention, but by inevitability. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. Once proven, it cannot be disproven. The predators will try to rewrite the story, will try to label you reckless, dangerous, unstable. But those words crumble under the weight of memory. People saw you. They felt the tremor in their bones when you refused to step back, and no smear campaign can erase lived experience. Understand the magnitude of what you've done. You didn't just defend people. You shifted their coordinates. Before you, they navigated by fear, measuring every choice against the weight of what could go wrong. After you, they measure against you. They ask, what would happen if I stood the way they stood? What would change if I burned instead of bowed? You've infected their compass, and now every direction points back to your defiance. You are not just a person anymore. You are orientation itself. And the more you move, the more this infection spreads. Your presence alone forces recalibration. Rooms adjust their tone. Conversations recalibrate their stakes. Communities redefine their boundaries. That's why leaders in shadows hate you. Because you are reorganizing the hierarchy without even trying. They depended on fear to keep their order intact, but fear no longer dominates the equation. You introduced something stronger, respect. And respect cannot be extracted by force. It can only be earned, which means they can't replicate you, can't manufacture what you created. They can only watch as their carefully built towers start to tilt in your direction. This is what they won't say out loud, that your single act of defiance has accomplished more than their years of manipulation. You've dismantled more in one night than they've built in decades, and that truth keeps them awake. Because if you could do this unintentionally, what happens if you choose to do it deliberately? If you could destabilize them by acting naturally, what happens when you act strategically? That thought keeps them sweating, keeps them restless, keeps them plotting ways to contain you. But every plot feeds your legend further. Every rumor confirms your status. Every attempt to suppress you only proves the truth they can't. And so, you're now living in a strange duality. On one hand, you carry on, breathing, walking, living, as though nothing extraordinary has happened. On the other, you've become larger than life, a myth circulating in their conversations, a fire glowing in their minds. You're both human and more than human, both flesh and symbol. And the more they struggle to categorize you, the more you slip beyond categories altogether. You become untouchable, because untouchable isn't about invincibility, it's about being unclassifiable. They don't know what box to put you in, so you become the box itself. Everything else is measured against you. Watch closely now, because the town has changed. Before, it was divided by apathy. People kept their heads down, lived quietly, convinced themselves that survival meant invisibility. But now, conversations hum with a different energy. Now people walk with a different posture. Now, when evil even dares to show its face again, it will no longer be met with silence. It will be met with the echo of you. You've transformed them, not all, but enough. Enough to guarantee that the next time someone attempts to dominate, they'll hesitate. Because hesitation is what happens when the predator realizes the prey has tasted power. And you were the one who forced that taste into their mouths. And here lies the deeper truth. Defending people wasn't just about protecting them. It was about awakening them. You shook them awake, forced their eyes open, forced them to see what they had forgotten, that fire still lives in human veins. And once awakened, people don't go back to sleep. Once reminded, they can't unremember. You've set off a chain reaction that doesn't end with you. It begins with you. That's why the world can't ignore you. Because ignoring you now means ignoring themselves. Ignoring you means rejecting the fire they felt in their own chest the moment they saw you rise. And no one willingly rejects their own awakening. So watch how your reputation expands. It started in the town. Now it moves to the outskirts. Soon, it will spread across borders, carried not by media or machines, but by mouths, by stories, by the electricity of human awe. And the more it spreads, the more untouchable you become. Because untouchable isn't about being shielded from harm. It's about being so integrated into the collective psyche that removing you becomes impossible. You are everywhere now, on their tongues, in their eyes, etched into their memories. That is presence. That is permanence. That is why you are the name they fear. And the cruelest twist for them? You haven't even begun. You haven't strategized yet. You haven't declared war yet. You haven't sharpened your force into deliberate precision. You simply lived true to yourself. And even that shattered their illusions. What happens when you decide to weaponize this? What happens when you decide not only to defend, but to dominate? If they fear you now, what word exists for what they'll feel then? There is no vocabulary for it. Only trembling, only surrender, only the collapse of everything they thought permanent. And that collapse has already started. You can hear it in their tone, see it in their posture, feel it in their attempts to distract themselves. But distraction doesn't work anymore. They can binge, scroll, consume, drown themselves in noise. But when they close their eyes, they see you. When they fall asleep, they dream of you. When they try to move on, they stumble over your legend like debris that cannot be swept away. You've become the obstruction they can't remove, the monument they can't topple, the truth they can't bury. That's why their strategies are failing. Because you're no longer a threat to be neutralized. You're a reality to be endured. And reality always wins. So let the world plot, let the envious scheme, let the guilty hide. None of it matters anymore. Because you've already proven the one thing that undoes them all, that you exist and they can't ignore you. You are the force they didn't account for, the fire they didn't prepare for, the name they can't stop repeating. And every time they repeat it, they crown you further. Now comes the part they dread, the moment when whispers translate into movement. What began as conversation now arranges itself into consequence. People shift their steps to avoid crossing your path, not out of fear of harm, but out of respect for what you represent. That respect fractures old loyalties. Men who relied on comfortable cruelty now feel the ground slipping beneath their feet. because the ledger of their deeds is being redrawn by your presence. They built their safety on the assumption that everyone would look away. You taught them that assumption was fragile, and fragility spreads faster than bravado. You were never a spectacle. You were a calibration. Each time they tell the story of you, they rehearse courage in their own bodies. They learn how it looks to stand, how it feels to refuse. That rehearsal leaks into behavior. Neighbors who once turned away now intervene. Colleagues who stayed silent now find their voices. The geometry of community changes shape because a single axis of will has been introduced. Where resignation once held sway, resolve begins to swell. And the more resolve swells, the more their old orders of control become brittle, susceptible to the smallest honest pressure. Your action is the fulcrum that tips complacency into accountability. This is the new arithmetic of influence. Presence multiplies agency. You do not need to be everywhere to be everywhere. Your story goes ahead of you and rearranges the rules. People reorganize around your standard whether you want them to or not. Those who benefited from fear will try to reclaim the narrative. They will label you dangerous, reckless, unhinged. They will call your force unpredictable and paint it as a threat to order. But order built on intimidation is fragile against the truth you introduced. The truth holds weight. Truth carries witnesses, and witnesses repeat what they saw. And here is the taste that makes them sick. You did this without seeking authority. No title, no badge, no mandate. You moved because it was right. That autonomy terrifies the people who profit from compliance. They depended on a predictable public, one that could be nudged, coerced, or distracted. You refused to be nudged. You refused to be coerced. You refused to be distracted. That refusal is contagious. It teaches others that autonomy is not a luxury. It is a tool. And once people start to see autonomy as a tool, they begin to use it. And tools dismantle tyrannies. Watch how they respond when your name circulates beyond the town. Outsiders lean in, curious about the rumor. Journalists sniff. Activists take notes. People from neighboring places come to see the one who changed the mood of a place. Your act is now a template. They map it, extract its essence, and replicate its courage in other corners. Your single defiant stand has become a manual for resistance. That is the worst-case scenario for those who thrived in complacency. Replication. They cannot endure a network of people who choose to act. So the powers that be chase a moving target. They try to rewrite your history with false versions, invent contradictions, plant doubts. But those attempts fall apart under simple scrutiny. Witnesses remember. Memory resists fabrication when the emotion is strong. Fear leaves a mark that slander cannot smooth over. People who lived through the moment will defend it, recounting details others cannot invent. The more they try to gaslight the town, the more the town remembers, and memory becomes armor. Their cover-ups become evidence because their own panic leaves traces. Every attempted lie is another seam to pull, and something else occurs in the wake of your act. Gratitude becomes courage's midwife. Those you helped wake do not just feel relieved, they feel indebted in a way that breeds action. Gratitude is not a passive emotion when it carries the weight of survival. It compels reciprocity. It nudges people from spectators into participants. Minor kindnesses escalate into organized defiance. Small neighborhood watches become vigilant communities. Conversations evolve into plans. Your single decision lighted a sequence that moves people from reaction to design. Where panic leads to paralysis, gratitude leads to purpose. Now pay attention to the enemies you created. They are not all the same. Some are petty, jealous neighbors, resentful colleagues, frightened heads of small enterprises who feel competition from your moral gravity. Others are more dangerous, those who profit from chaos, men who have institutional power supported by bribes, complicity, and fear. These predators recalibrate when you arise. They shift from boldness to caution, from aggression to concealment. You made transparency costly for them. Their calculus changes because the risk of exposure increased. Risk breeds retreat. There's also the human cost to carry. This work, this presence demands everything. You'll be scrutinized, misread, praised, and reviled in equal measure. People will project onto you their hopes and their fears. That is unavoidable. But remember this, projection is not your burden to own. It is a reflection of how desperately they want to make sense of a new reality. They will attribute to you things you never said, create expectations you never sought. Your challenge is to remain steady in the face of projection, to respond with measured action rather than defensiveness. Your consistency will be the method that separates legend from liability. So strategy becomes essential. If you want to protect what you started, you must temper instinct with method. Use the attention as armor, not as ammunition. Prioritize those who need protection over those who want spectacle. Let your movements be precise. Build alliances with those who have proven integrity. Train your nearest to respond, to organize, to hold. Because when a leader is forged by necessity, the next step is to institutionalize protection, not as control, but as a reliable service. Turn spontaneous heroics into steady systems of care that do not depend on a single person's presence. Now imagine the long view. In a year, in 5 years, what will remain of this moment depends on the architecture you build after the fire. If you vanish into legend, your impact will shrivel. If you anchor your action in community, your single moment will become the first of many. You must choose whether to be a flicker or a foundation. A foundation requires structure. It asks for mentorship, training, resources, and a shared code. Do not let the roar of the immediate drown out the need to prepare the